unlocked, we take a look at 13 things the government is trying to keep secret from you. Number 13, your phone is watching you. The government seizes and searches all internet and text communications which enter or leave the United States. On August 8, 2013, the New York Times reported that the NSA secretly collects virtually all international email and text communications which cross the United States borders in or out. The ACLU says, quote, the NSA thinks it's okay to intercept and then read Americans' emails, so long as it does it really quickly. But that is not how the Fourth Amendment works. The invasion of Americans' privacy is real and immediate. Number 12, a government backdoor. The government created and maintains secret backdoor access into all databases in order to search for information on U.S. citizens. On August 9, 2013, The Guardian revealed yet another Edward Snowden leaked document, which points out, quote, the National Security Agency has a secret backdoor into its vast databases under a legal authority, enabling it to search for U.S. citizens' email and phone calls without a warrant, end quote. This is a new set of secrets about surveillance of people in the United States. This new policy of 2011 allows searching by U.S. person names and identifiers when the NSA is collecting data. The document declares that analysts should not implement these queries until an oversight process has been developed. But there's no word on whether such a process was developed or not. Number 11, Big Brother is always watching. The government operates a vast database which allows it to sift through millions of records on the internet to show nearly everything a person does. Recent disclosures by Snowden and Glenn Greenwald of The Guardian demonstrate that NSA operates a massive surveillance program called X-Keyscore. The surveillance program has since been confirmed by other CIA officials. It allows the government to enter a person's name or other question into the program and sift through oceans of data to produce everything there is on the internet by or about that person or other search term. Number 10, the government has a special court which meets in secret to authorize access for the FBI and other investigators to millions and millions of U.S. phone, text, email, and business records. So, there's a special court of federal judges which meets in secret to authorize the government to gather and review millions and millions of phone and internet records. This court, called the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Court, or FISA Court, allows government lawyers to come before them in secret with absolutely no representatives of the public or press or defense counsel allowed to argue unopposed for more and more surveillance. This is the court which, in just one of thousands of rulings, authorized the handing over of all call data created by Verizon within the U.S. and between the U.S. and abroad to the Federal Bureau of Investigation, or the FBI. The public would never have known about the massive surveillance without the leaked documents from Edward Snowden. Number 9, the government keeps top secret nearly all the decisions of the FISA Court. Nearly all of the thousands of decisions of the FISA Court are themselves classified as top secret. Though the public is not allowed to know what the decisions are, public records show how many times the government asked for surveillance authorization and how many times they were denied. These show that in the last 3 years, the government asked for authorization nearly 5,000 times, and they were never denied. In its entire history, the FISA Court has denied just 11 of 34,000 requests for surveillance. 2 U.S. senators warned the Attorney General that we believe most Americans would be stunned to learn the details of how these secret court opinions have interpreted Section 215 of the Patriot Act. As we see it, there is now a significant gap between what most Americans think the law allows and what the government secretly claims the law allows. This is a problem because it is impossible to have an informed public debate about what the law should say when the public doesn't know what its government thinks the law says. Number 8, the government is fighting to keep top secret a key 2011 decision of the FISA Court, even after the court itself said it can be made public. There is an 86-page 2011 top secret opinion of the FISA Court, which declared some of the National Security Agency surveillance programs unconstitutional. The administration, through the Department of Justice, refused to hand this over to the Electronic Frontier Foundation, which filed a public records request in a lawsuit to make this public. First, the government said it would hurt the FISA Court to allow this to be made public. Then, the FISA Court itself said it can be made public. Despite this, the government is still fighting to keep it secret. Number 7, the government uses secret national security letters called NSL, issued by the FBI to seize tens of thousands of records. With a NSL letter, the FBI can demand financial records from any institution, from banks to casinos, all telephone records, subscriber information, credit reports, employment information, and all email records of the target, as well as the email addresses and screen names for anyone who has contacted that account. Those who receive the NSLs from the FBI are supposed to keep them secret. The reason is supposed to be for foreign counterintelligence. There is no requirement for court approval at all, so no requests have ever been denied. The Patriot Act has made this much more easier for the FBI. According to congressional records, there have been over 50,000 of these FBI NSL requests in the last 3 years. This does not count the numerous times where the FBI persuades the disclosure of information without even getting an NSL, nor does it count FBI requests made just to find out who an email account belongs to. These reported NSL numbers also do not include the very high numbers of administrative subpoenas issued by the FBI, which only require approval of a member of the local U.S. Attorney's Office. Number 6, the national security head was caught not telling the truth to Congress about surveillance of millions of U.S. citizens. The Director of National Intelligence, James Clapper, told U.S. Senate on March 12, 2013, that the NSA did not wittingly collect information on millions of Americans. After the Snowden Guardian disclosures, Clapper admitted to NBC that what he said to Congress was the, quote, least untruthful reply he could think of. Now, the agency no longer even denies that it collects the emails of American citizens. In a recent white paper, the NSA now admits they do, quote, collect telephony metadata in bulk, end quote, but they do not unconstitutionally target American citizens, they say. Number 5, the government falsely assured the U.S. public in writing that privacy protections are significantly stronger than they actually are, and senators who knew better were not allowed to disclose the truth. 2 U.S. senators wrote the NSA a letter objecting to one, quote, inaccurate statement, and another, quote, somewhat misleading statement made by the NSA in their June 2013 public fact sheet on surveillance. What are the inaccurate or misleading statements, you ask? The public is not allowed to know because the senators had to point out the details in a secret classified section of their letter. In the public part of their letter, they did say, in quote, in our judgment, this inaccuracy is significant as it portrays protections for Americans' privacy as being significantly stronger than they actually are, end quote. The senators point out that the NSA public statement assures people that communications of U.S. citizens, which are accidentally acquired, are promptly destroyed unless it is evidence of crime. However, the senators wrote that the NSA does in fact deliberately search the records of American citizens, and that the NSA has said repeatedly that it is not reasonably possible to identify the number of people located in the U.S. whose communications have been reviewed under the authority of the FISA laws. The NSA responded to these claims in an odd way. They did not say publicly what the misleading or inaccurate statements were, nor did they correct the record. Instead, they just deleted the fact sheet from the NSA website. Number 4, the chief defender of spying in the House of Representatives, the chair of the Oversight Intelligence Subcommittee, did not tell the truth, or maybe worse, did not know the truth about surveillance. Mike Rogers, chair of the House Permanent Intelligence Subcommittee, repeatedly told Congress and the public on television, talk shows in July that there was no government surveillance of phone calls or emails, saying, quote, "They do not record your emails. None of that was happening. None of it, I mean zero," end quote. Later, Snowden and Glenn Greenwald of The Guardian disclosed the NSA program called X-Keyscore, which intercepts maybe over 1 billion emails, phone calls, and other types of communications each day. Now, the questions swirl about Rogers whether he lied or was lied to by those who engaged in surveillance, or did not understand the programs he was supposed to be providing oversight to. Number 3, the House Intelligence Oversight Committee repeatedly refused to provide basic surveillance information to elected members of the House of Representatives, both Republican and Democrat. The House Intelligence Oversight Committee refused to allow any members of Congress outside the committee to see a 2011 document that described the NSA mass phone record surveillance. This has infuriated Republicans and Democrats alike who have tried to get basic information to carry out their mandated oversight obligations. Republican Representative Morgan Griffith of Virginia wrote the House Committee on Intelligence of June 25, 2013, July 12, 2013, July 22, 2013, and July 23, 2013, asking for basic information of the authorization allowing the NSA to continue collecting data about American telephone calls. He received no response to those requests. After asking for basic information from the House Committee about the surveillance programs, Democrat Congressman Alan Grayson was told the committee voted to deny his request on a voice vote. When he followed up and asked for a copy of the recorded vote, he was told he could not get the information because the transcript of the committee hearing was classified. Number 2, the paranoia about secrecy of surveillance is so bad in the House of Representatives that an elected member of Congress was threatened for passing around copies of the Snowden disclosures, which had been already printed in newspapers worldwide. Representative Alan Grayson was threatened with sanctions for passing around copies of the Snowden information on the House floor, the same information published by The Guardian and many other newspapers around the world. And number 1, the Senate Oversight Committee refused to allow a dissenting senator to publicly discuss his objections to surveillance. When Senator Ron Wyden, a Democrat from Oregon, tried to amend the surveillance laws to require court orders before the government could gather communications of American citizens and to disclose how many Americans have had their communications gathered, he lost in a secret 2012 hearing of the Senate Select Committee on Intelligence. He was then also prohibited from publicly registering or explaining his opposition for weeks. These attempts to keep massive surveillance secrets from the public are aggravated by the constant efforts to minimize the secrets and maximize untruths. Most notably, despite all this documented surveillance on August 6, 2013, the president said on the Jay Leno show, quote, "We don't have a domestic spying program." This is to say, it is most politely not accurate. Some commentators think the government is perversely trying itself in knots and twisting the real meaning of words with flimsy legal arguments and irrational word games. Others say President Obama was engaged in Orwellian newspeak. Finally, more than a few say President Obama was not telling the truth.